Okay, so today we're going to be working on 5.1, solving quadratic inequalities with one variable. So for today's example that I've chosen negative 8x is less than or equal to negative 3 times x squared minus 1. So first thing we're going to have to do is change this to an equation so we can solve it and find those critical values. So we're going to take negative 8x is equal to negative 3 times x squared minus 1. And now we're just going to move that 8x over, set everything equal to 0. So 0 is equal to, let's go ahead and FOIL this first one out here. We're going to do negative 3 times x squared gives us negative 3x squared. Negative 3 times negative 1 gives us plus 3. We'll put it over here. And we move this 8x over to give us plus 8x. Now since this is an equation set to 0, we can divide this by negative 1 in order to factor it nicely. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to be left with 0 on our left side because 0 divided by negative 1 is 0. And on our right side, we're going to have 3x squared minus 8x minus 3. Now we're going to go ahead and factor this. So 0 is equal to, set up our two brackets. We're going to have 3x, x here, just like so. And now we're going to take each of our factors and set them equal to 0 to find the critical values. So we'll start with 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. Move that 1 over. Divide by 3 to isolate the x. And x is going to be equal to negative 1/3. That's our first critical value. Okay, our second one we're going to do, x minus 3 is equal to 0. And it's as easy as setting x equal to 3. That's our second critical value. Now we're going to go ahead and do here is we're going to make our number line. Put that there. And we're going to put our critical values on there. So we have a critical value of negative 1/3. So put that there. And another critical value of 3. Now what we're going to need to do is plug a test point into our original inequality to see if we're going to be finding a solution on the right side and left side, or if we're going to be looking for a solution set that's in between our critical values. But our first step is we're going to find what kind of dot we're going to put on our critical value line here. So we look back at our original inequality and we see that it's less than or equal to. So that means that our solution set is going to include those critical values that we found. Okay, if it had been just a less than or greater than, then we would have open dots there because that means it can't equal our critical values. The solution set cannot equal our critical values. So what we're going to go ahead and we're going to pick a test point to try out here. We're going to do x equals 0 because it's easy. And we're going to solve that below the line here. So we're going to substitute 0 in for x. So you're going to have negative 8 times 0 is less than or equal to negative 3 times 0 squared minus 1. So this is going to give us 0 here is less than or equal to negative 3 times, now 0 squared is 0, we know that, and we're going to be left with just a negative 1. So 0 is less than or equal to positive 3. Now this checks out, this inequality is true, 0 is less than or equal to 3. So we're going to go ahead and shade in our solution set, which is going to be in between our critical values, where that point 0 falls. Just like so. Okay, now all we have to do to finish up this solution is we just need to write the domain of our solution set. So that's going to be our critical values of negative 1/3 is less than or equal to x, which is going to be less than or equal to 3. And that makes sense because those are our two critical values. Now we can't forget that x is also an element of the reals. Go ahead and throw a box around that. Thanks for watching, and I hope that helps.